Welcome to another episode of the True Beast Podcast, brought to you by xdog.com, where you can find the world's greatest health enhancement harness for dogs, the X-Dog Fitness Vest. Exercising your dog has never been easier, more convenient, or effective than with the X-Dog Fitness Vest. So if you're looking to level up your dog's life, be sure to check out xdog.com. And what's up, Trevor?
So today, what's going on, man? What's going on?
So it was a big weekend, Super Bowl weekend, and a lot of people are, man, going hard on your boy 50.
Oh, man, listen, I didn't even watch the Super Bowl.
You didn't?
I have no clue what happened. I saw the bunch of memes, though. You know, the internet is still undefeated.
Yeah.
So whatever happens, 2 seconds later, there you are all over the internet. How did this happen so quick?
You know, it's kind of crazy, man, because when you think about it, I looked at it, right? I was like, man, he gained a little weight, man. He's eating good.
He's 46 years old.
Dude, he's winning. You know?
I know. Like, what are we talking about here? The guy's got money. He's got shows everywhere. He's got influence, impact. I don't know if you guys have studied and watched 50. His approach to life, him sitting down and making sense of things, talking about Kobe. I'm a 50 fan, especially when he partnered with Robert Greene and created the 50 Law after the 48 Laws of Power. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's the one he created a book, and he made it look like the Bible, calling it the 50th Law. So when I tell you I've been on 50 for a long time, just as far as studying, you know, like, hey, why'd you buy vitamin water? Well, you know, I like water.
Yeah.
He go down and people go drink water. And I was in the store and it was this price, and I was like, I think I could do it for this price, you know? And so he's inventive, like a Jay-Z,
yeah,
in terms of taking that same flipping things but making it legal.
Yeah. That's just how it is, man. And it's kind of, you know, I guess, you know, he's probably considered one of the biggest trolls out there, right? Like, and so, you know, he's loving this shit right now.
Oh, man, he said that too. He said, I like to fight. So, you know, you want to do something, we happy to.
Yeah. And so, you know, he's trending right now, so that's cool. But, you know, my perspective on the whole thing, you know, I seen a lot of people posting, you know, memes about him and stuff. And how I looked at it is when I'm watching the Super Bowl halftime show, and, you know, yeah, they did create history and stuff. But I'm looking at Dre, right? And I'm looking at like, damn, man, look at all these people that he's helped build around him. Yeah. How did he get there? Well, he got there because he created a Snoop Dogg. He created 50 Cent. He created an Eminem, right? A Kendrick Lamar, you know. And he built his team around there, man. And I was like, man, that's how we get there. You know, you and I are going on this trip to New Jersey, and that's one of the first legs this year towards my goals. And I was like, man, this year I want to start taking people around me and building them up and helping them make their visions and dreams come true. And
that's how you do it, man. And for those who watch the NWA movie, and again, I studied the history of the few people who are impactful. Keep in mind, when Dr. Dre walked away from, you know, Suge Knight's program, if you would, he walked away at the pinnacle when it was worth $400 million and said, keep it all. Then he went and created, you know, his window. Then he sold that, mind you, for $800 million and some change. So when you really are talking about what he did, he took a step back and gave everything away, said keep everything, and knew that he could do it again. Because all it takes is having the right people around you, and then finding them gems, and then showing them that they diamonds.
Yeah, I heard that Snoop ended up buying Death Row, right?
Yeah, there you go. And then look, full circle, who owns it now?
Now, so tell the audience, what do you think, you know, what's the benefit of owning that?
Well, in some sense, I would say it's probably a pride thing as well.
Yeah.
Because you started there. And for those that don't know a little bit more about Snoop in that particular situation, they wanted Snoop to hate everybody, and Snoop's the one who literally brought everybody together. He was not going to New York to show hate. He wanted to love everybody. So they gave him a hard time. They threatened him. It was a real life. It was a Suge. I mean, you go back to the stories and listen to what Jamie Foxx and, you know, the situations where Suge was like coming to get everybody. He was just on 10 all the time.
Do you think that hurt him being a leader that way?
I think that's the way he knew to do things. And you know, it definitely didn't hurt because he still was worth $400 million at some point. That's what they were like think about what Suge did. Like, you go back and watch it, he still was gang banging like he was gang banging, but had access to $400 million. And there's the problem. That's the problem, is he could get away with that type of, we'll just call it murder.
Yeah. So it begs for the question, would you rather be feared or loved?
Oh, man, you know what? I think love will last a lot longer and keep you more safe at night. Fear will have, I know a guy that literally, I just saw him, I remember I grew up with in a tumultuous environment. We used to call him 100, unfortunately, old Dante. And I just seen him at Johnson County Community College on a Friday, and I knew how aggressive he was towards younger folks. So put it like this: some young people saw him in the McDonald's line and shot him, and he died. He died that Sunday.
Damn.
In the neck. And I went to school with him. I was with him quite a bit. And so when you say fear, fear backs people into a corner, man. And when they don't think, like, they don't know you changed,
yeah,
they can only remember that terrible experience that they had with you. So I'd rather be loved. Like, everybody around me love. And, they might hate you at the same time, but it's just jealousy.
When we talk about leadership roles, man, like, it's different now. When you think, especially like with, college coaches and high school coaches now, like, kids just want to be treated different. Like, it's not the same. I don't think you can take the same leadership approach as you could back in the day when you have somebody like Bobby Knight and the Indiana Hoosiers and stuff, where he was really militant. And, I just don't think leadership will be effective like that anymore.
I think it all depends.
Yeah.
It all depends. I've got 5 kids on my phone as my screensaver, and trust me, you cannot talk to them the same.
Yeah.
You can get the same result. You can challenge them and try them if you would, but the communication side has a little bit different, but the result always is the same.
So it's a perfect segue to this then, like the dog training community, there's so many different approaches, right? Every dog is different. You're not going to be able to get the same result with the same techniques with every single dog, right? In most cases, And so why do you think the dog training community in the whole, right? You have so many trainers with all these different perspectives. For their lives, they go, okay, well, I'm different, so my life, you got to approach me a different way. But when it comes to dogs, we all got to approach them. Some people are like, we got to approach them the same way. And that's why there's such a big disconnect amongst the dog training community. Why do you think people act like that? They don't see that. For example, you're not going to be able to get the same kids. You get a group of 5 kids, right? They're not going to react the same. Some are going to be motivated by encouragement. You're going to have to get in their ass, right? And
Let me preface this by saying I do not condone dog fighting, for instance, but let me put in perspective, and I just want to draw a picture for you people. People who, and I'm saying this to say, to be clear, that all dogs are different. And if you, unfortunately, I've never even seen a dog fight, but I know a lot of people. And I don't agree with the way they do things, but some people think the dogs don't want to be there. But if you ever watch a dog snap, and if you ever watch a dog in a ring, what ends up happening is these dogs don't react. They're shaking and drooling because that's who they are. So they don't, they like looking, it's like 2 fighters literally looking for, because that's what they were bred to do. And we had that other dog training, my passion guy owner, what did he say? Will said the Husky was, let's say the Alaskan Malamute, they're the most difficult to train because they were created to pull a sled. Yeah. So no dog realistically can be taught the same thing because the intent, which is why I tell people to go read the history. Yeah. A terrier is territorial. Yeah. They protect. That's just their nature. It's like what they do. Yeah. Nothing you can do to
you get a rat terrier, man, or a Patterdale terrier, and you put him in an area on a farm where there's a bunch of rats.
Oh, they're having a field day.
They're fearless.
They're having a field day. So when people assume, that the dog thing is one size fits all, it is in terms of how dogs communicate. If you know dogs, if you know the history of dogs and understand us. So when we go back to the pit bull, a dog was created to fight.
Well, you have a community that thinks purely positive is the only approach, right? But when then you look at a pack of wolves, for example, right? They're not always purely positive. There's a lot of corrections that happen within those packs.
My dad popped me upside my head and I'm fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that positivity shit is like telling somebody manners are everything. Yeah. And somebody corrected these motherfuckers too. Somebody told them, hey, do not interrupt when 2 adults are talking. Yeah. Be I say may I versus can. Just different ways to approach things. So I don't know why they assume these dogs are supposed to be running rampant, which is realistically why there are so many dogs in shelters, because these people got dogs and don't know what to do with them, man.
So, another thing that really stood out to me about the Super Bowl is, man, how relevant Snoop Dogg still is.
Bro, for one, that's the point. They said one of the things, if you guys go watch The Breakfast Club, I love The Breakfast Club, watch all the interviews on Snoop, but then really go watch the documentary. So Snoop has taken a role in the community. He's taken less than, it's kind of like, Snoop to me is kind of like a Tom Brady in a sense. And if you think about it, Tom Brady's at the forefront for a long time, but why? You never heard of money problems, right? Why does a guy take less money and still be the greatest? Because he believes in the team being more important than one man. So when you look at Snoop believes in building people versus being like Snoop Dogg. Like, they were like, Snoop, no. At one point, bro, you had more sales than this. You had more sales because everybody loves Snoop.
It's kind of crazy. I think one of the best marketing moves that he ever done was with his marketing move with Martha Stewart. It was genius.
It just showed you how much reachability that he has and how much love people have for him. You know,
I think it helped Martha out a lot too, because she had caught that case and everything, and it just, you know what I mean? It made her relative.
It brought her back to the forefront and being cool and hip.
Yeah,
that the beauty about Martha, mind you, she's in her 70s, bro. She's smart enough to know that I still have to pivot when it's time to pivot as well.
Yeah.
Y'all got to learn that you don't know everything. And when you don't know everything, it's important to be open to more things. I mean, you got to do everything that's put on the table, but just at least hear a person out and think things through. I thought it was very interesting that they had the cooking show. And that's giving them opportunities to do so many other things. And now they just do commercials. I've seen a few commercials they've done together just to have fun.
Yeah, I think they did a Bic lighter commercial. Just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you go down the line and that right there, somebody says, "Oh, Martha, oh, Martha." Look, and Martha, she's cold with it. Man.
Yeah,
she's cold, and Snoop is cold with it as well. But to be able to communicate with someone that lets you know how diverse he is as well.
Do you think that's where a lot of the criticism happens with like some of the older people in the dog community? They just don't know how to pivot. Like they're having a hard time pivoting.
I would tell you, we've talked about one of the dog trainers that we personally know, and sometimes from my experience here more recently, as I've gotten more involved with different communities, what ends up happening is people get obsessed about this dog that they started with,
Yeah.
and they can't take any constructive criticism on the dog.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to hear nothing about their dog.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. I think in anything, it takes a few steps and a lot of building blocks, and a lot of things are going to change regularly.
I think one of the best superpowers is to be able to analyze and look at yourself and look at your product, or for example, your dog or your techniques, right? And go, you know what? This is where I'm weak at. I got flaws here. Understanding that you have those flaws, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And then get the dog that works for you. There's a lot of different breeds out there specifically.
Yeah.
So maybe you become the master doodler.
Yeah.
The master burner doodle, the master shepherd, the master whatever. And all these dogs require a lot of time and a lot of attention. I had the opportunity to meet someone who had won, I think, either PSA. We're going to put the interview up sometime next week, more likely. And someone asked her, how did you do this with a bully who's XL?
Yeah.
In a shepherd dominated type of event thing, right?
Uh-huh.
She said 6 years, 7 days a week.
I think people really underestimate the time each dog needs to have, the quality time. It's really crazy. Like I'm investing a lot more time with my dogs, like just a lot of leash walking, a lot of interaction, and a lot of individual leash walking, understanding the different energies. And it's like the relationship that I'm having with my dogs this year alone is just continuously improves, right? Yep. But it's because I'm investing the time into them, and it's just making a big difference. And by no means am I a dog trainer. I'm not a dog trainer.
I train my dogs, but I don't train others. I tell people that I can help, make sense of things because I understand dog behavior. But that's the other thing too. So I didn't even know dog training was a thing for a long time because I've been raised around dog men.
Yeah.
And dog men speak dog because they love their dog, so they just tell you like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. So to be on this side where you're seeing all the dog train, all this, I'm like, oh wow.
Well, I think there's a big explosion right now because the past 2 years, a lot of people are stuck at home and they're like, well, fuck, what am I gonna do with my life? And they all love dogs. Like they love dog training, love training their dogs. Why not create a business? And that's why, I'm so focused on just getting behind people who just want to try and go do something because, man, I definitely don't want to be part of the problem of a great idea not coming to life, you know? There's been so many great ideas that's been thrown at me in this past probably year, and I'm just like, there's so many good ones that I don't even know where to begin, and I'm just like...
It's funny because Google has $100 million ideas, real viable business plans, people, and they don't even execute them because it doesn't make enough money. That's the point we get to. Like they literally tell you like, oh, that'll make $150 million, but that's not enough for Google. So you want to get to that place where you're like, yeah, that's a good idea. Doesn't really do much for me though, but I'm happy to help in some regard if I can. But they literally turn down things that will make,
Yeah.
without a doubt, make at least 100. But it doesn't do enough for them long term. That's the other part about vision too. When you start talking about impacting people to, like, hey, what's the long term result here?
Yeah, I almost get to the point where I'm at the point now where I don't even ask people opinions about certain products anymore, because it's just, I just want that opinion on the product that we're going to launch. Yeah. But it's always like, well, I think you guys should come out with this. And I'm like, well, if it's such a fucking great idea, why don't you come out with it? You know, but it's just like, people don't want to do the work. They want the idea to be put out there, but they don't want to get punched in the face for the next 5-10 years.
And believe me, people, you're going to be you turn yourself into a martyr when you're building a business. until everybody's like, you know, praising you in a sense.
Yeah, you know, it was like for the longest, man, and it's kind of trickled down. Like prior to you coming in here, we were talking, you know, and before this episode, we were talking about, you know, the impeded movement, right? Yeah. And how I had to deal with that shit. And I just said, finally, man, I hit you aside. I was like, man, I'm about to go in on these fools, right? Like, they've been doing this debate, right? You have these individuals, man, who really don't have very much influence or any influence at all, you know, arguing over something called the H harness, right? And comparing the X-Dog vest to the H harness, or the H harness versus the Y harness. And the Y harness, does it impede movement? And, you know, it doesn't matter how long we've proven it. Like, we've taken side-by-side comparison videos of the dogs on a treadmill with the vest off, normal gait. Put the vest on, the X-Dog vest on, they exaggerate the gait, which means they elongate their stride because they feel like they have to overcompensate it, right? Where the H harness was basically done, it was a study done up in, I believe, in Canada, and it was done by a person who does like itinerary races, right? And basically they're equivalent the H harness to go across. If a person was standing up, it's like wrapped around the dog's arms, biceps, right? Which, if you look at the X-Dog vest, it doesn't lay like that. I mean, it's basically like a modified Y harness without the Y, right? And so it doesn't matter how much we've proven it, right? The whole focus on the mindset of these individuals who say these things, man, is they're so focused on that one thing. Well, it impedes movement. Okay, well, what's the problem then if it impedes movement, if it shows you that, if let's just say it does, right? Which we've already proven it doesn't, but let's just say it does. Well, we know that it, one, improves speed, increases performance levels, vertical and lateral distance, improves endurance, fights obesity, helps with mental behaviors or issues, right? Behavior issues. Reduces destructiveness around the house, lowers the risk of health-related diseases like heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. And they're like, well, it's hard on joints. Well, you know what else is hard on joints? Your fucking dog being a fat ass and being an obese, right? Like, that is the leading cause to degenerative joint disease, right? Which you can't, that's incurable. But what we've known, unless you get stem cell, right? Yeah. Which, how many people are going to go get stem cell in their dogs?
Little to no one.
And then you talk about, you know, well, if you actually look at it, why do so many NFL, high-level high school, high-level college, Olympic athletes, why do they weight train? Why do they use resistance training? To reduce the risk of injuries, right? When we talk about stabilizer muscles and fixator muscles, which are the same thing, right? The reason why those need to be conditioned is because it lowers the pressure on joints, ligaments, and tendons, which adds years. So, you know, it's like that debate. We finally kind of put it to rest, you know, but it took about 4 years to get there, you know, and now we've transitioned from the X-Dog weight vest to the X-Dog fitness vest to the X-Dog health enhancement harness. Yeah. And it takes a while, man, but I don't think people really can endure how long it takes, you know?
The rule is sales cures all. So at the end of the day, as long as it's selling,
yeah.
If they, you know, people have told me, oh, that looks like a problem. I said, thank you, and just move on.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, you know, there's a lot of energy that we can expend at times, and I'm happy when people do point out things that force me to go into research, so I can learn a little bit more to better the service cycle, whatever it is I'm doing, right?
Absolutely.
And that makes more sense, but that means you got to, we won't even say come correct, because you say whatever you need to say it. I don't have the pride or ego to go there with you, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look into it, at least make sense of it. So the fact that you did that, I mean, it shows why we're here today.
I mean, when you think about it, the number one question is like, my whole approach back in the day, my pitch is completely different now. Now this first question is, do you want your dog to live longer?
Yeah.
Do you want them to have less health-related diseases? Okay, Cool. What type of problems are you dealing with your dog? Well, I'm having these behavior issues, or my dog's super hyper. Okay, cool. We can address all that. Where before it was like, you want to build muscle? Do you want to increase? You know what I mean? And I was really like, I was focusing on the wrong audience and trying to please people who were giving me these opinions, who were jumping their dogs off a ledge and into a pool of water, vicariously living through their fucking dogs. You know what I mean? And so once I took a pivot and go, if I want the everyday dog owner, I got to address the everyday problem, which is dog obesity and health-related diseases that are linked to them, including cancer.
Yep.
Right? Like, if, obviously, as a company, you don't want to go, you can't go make claims, hey, my fucking product cures cancer, right?
Yeah, because cancer's unfortunately, that's a whole nother issue.
It's a whole other
It's
issue.
whole
A lot of
nother
that could be genetic. A lot of it could be accelerated by the owner. At the end of the day, the dog is under ownership, and ownership influences everything, right?
In a dog's world, absolutely. They are very codependent.
Exactly.
Whereas cats are more, they don't need you in some regard.
Yeah, for example, we take one of your dogs, right, and we put it under a different owner, right? It's not gonna genetically, yes, it has it's genetics.
Somewhat, but I tell you right now, my friend, I've watched dogs grow to be greater in my hands than others because I understand genetics.
Yeah.
And how to build and what a dog needs. How to build confidence, all the stuff, and like you said, the relationship side, golly, man, that takes so much time. It is not an easy
There's no
task.
plays off.
It is not. You have to be working with your dog every fucking day, and half of it ain't. I mean, less than 10% of it's ever even recorded.
And it's exhausting. It can be exhausting, man.
It is. For me, it's a good way to step away from all the other stuff that I'm doing. So I enjoy, let me drive up to Arbor Hill Park and do some walking and training and get in the water and have fun. You know, that's my step away because everything else is so serious.
You know what? And I think that's what's been helping me out a lot. You know, those walks. You know, I got 4 dogs, and you know, obviously the puppy's not walking for 45 minutes, but you know, she's walking right. Like right now, like she's having some issues with like cars. Right? She's like, okay, car. I've never, you know, it's loud. So I'm trying to develop her confidence and be able to walk on that. So every dog's different. You know,
very much so, my friend. And again, you know, I start with a 0.4 mile walk with the pup. I do a couple times. I like them puppies to go to sleep. Yeah. Running around. When they do the zoomies, that mean they ain't done enough that day, man. You gotta let them get out. And that doesn't mean they're not gonna do it, but it's just it's less likely when you do it and you invest some time in your dog.
And if you don't, they're fucking up all the other dogs.
Oh, they're fucking terrorizing shit, man. You like, look, your ass needs to walk.
Well, now, like, she can get on the ottoman, and that's not the safe space anymore. And I don't let them on the couch or bed, so it's like, they're like, fuck, you know. So, but I got to protect them, you know, because the other, you know, the boys, they're just like, man. Now, Bella, my Cocker Spaniel, she's checked her. She's always been like super hardcore, like aggressive check. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, she's a pup, you know, like relax. But now I know why she, you know, she knew what type of energy she needed to bring to her at a very early stage to establish, don't fuck with me because I know you're going to get bigger. You're going to fuck me up. And she's challenging her a little bit, but you know, it's really interesting, man. And I think a lot of the big part of the journey of owning dogs too is not just training your dogs and working with your dogs on a personal level, but training the people around your dogs. Like,
so what are some things you think that people need to know about dogs, especially in, you know, when it comes to being a part of the X-Dog experience, if you would?
Well, I think when we talked about earlier is that we're building a culture now. Yeah. You know, like we're a community of people who don't ask dog owners. We don't ask our dogs to do things that we're not willing to do. So if we're going to exercise our dogs daily, most of the owners that are part of the X-Dog community are daily exercise. They exercise daily. They understand the importance. They put the right foods in their body. As an owner, they put the right foods in their body. You know what I mean? They're asking their dogs to be disciplined and to listen, and they do the same things. A lot of our community people, they come to me and they ask me questions. They actually listen and they apply, you know? And so our community, man, we're just a culture community who understand the importance of not just optimizing ourselves, but the importance of optimizing our dogs' lives as well. And so we're starting to see that there's a up and coming generation, like you said, man, like Fit Top. You know, everybody's understanding the importance of exercising and lifting. And I think we're ahead of the curve, you know, when it came to the importance of health enhancement, right? Using resistance whether it's resistance bands or weight resistance or, wind resistance or drag resistance or, in general. And so I'm excited to be part of that forefront, and we're the leaders, and all we got to do is just continue to innovate, evolve, educate, inspire, and we can do that, by via podcasts, via videos, and just continue to do that. And
all that, people, we're going to continue to keep that stuff hot. This is something that I think when we went back the last time before we started the podcast, I was in here and I was telling Sabrina, I said, look, I need about 5 vests. 5 vests. Yeah. This is before we got back to work over here, man. But it's just one of those things where I believe in the product, man. I do. Well, I don't believe in a lot of shit.
We sat down, we talked about it. We're like, we've seen the vests on some Frenchies, right? And we're just like, okay, that needs to be modified just slightly. We need to shorten it up a little bit. And of course, like even on these 3 to 4 pound dogs, we've got to create a 4X small. I got a abundant amount of people who want to help us with the 3X large. And so now we're at this point where now we're just continuously fine-tuning and modifying and fine-tuning to become, we're not going to be satisfied with the current product until we have that really superior product where we look at it and goes, man, it's fucking perfect, which is we'll probably never hit, to be honest.
And that's the beautiful thing too, because perfection is the enemy, but the beauty about it here is that you're putting out stuff, and the stuff still does work.
Well, I think too, man. Like things take time. It took a lot of episodes for us to build chemistry and to build synergy. Like today's episode wasn't really planned. We just start talking, and it takes a minute, but it took us being shitty at first and learning to work with each other.
I don't think nobody was shitty now. You wasn't shitty, I wasn't shitty.
But if we go listen to our first episodes, they ain't like they are now.
No. They got it. But so this is the other part too, people. I don't know if you know this, but it's very common in the movie theater world for people to spend time together so that they can develop that chemistry, right?
Yeah.
And so much so that even I used to love Saul, and the girl who was basically like a daughter to him. They were sent to an island. Tyler Perry, when you look at Why Did I Get Married Too, they go on vacations together.
Yeah.
So that chemistry in the movies looks authentic. Because you want to be almost real, but it's still kind of fake, but it's still real because I know who this motherfucker really is. So when I say this line, they're gonna feel this shit.
Yeah.
And that's the thing here. Everybody's busy. We're all growing. And we're getting to a place where we're even spending more time doing dog-related shit, which is how our conversations, what we want to do, from that to everything that you're thinking about, it just keeps tying this whole thing together.
Yeah, and building the team, man. Like, I mean, I think we're all doing a very good job of, for example, like you're merging yourself into part of the bully community that I'm not really a part of, right? And bringing out these fucking phenomenal minds, and I'm over here in the kind of like the dog training community, bringing over phenomenal minds in the dog sporting community. And then, I'm building these better relationships with these manufacturers, and then you're working on your other things, and it's like, it's now becoming this symphony of just energy ball, right? In an ecosystem that's like, man, if we all just keep paying our dues and just keep working, this thing is gonna fucking explode,
And I think that's the part that I'm definitely learning more about myself. I've been a individual for so long outside of a team that I haven't worked well with others.
Yeah.
but and let me be clear, because motherfuckers don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
So I can't, if you can't keep up or you want to do the work, I have no patience for that shit.
Yeah.
No patience whatsoever. So the beauty about it is the differences and them being brought together, people have gone as far as adding us, me and Stan and I, to, a chat and tying us together in a lot of things, and the conversation's the same.
Yeah.
If I say something, he don't respond, it's like, oh, like, perfect. Glad he responded to that. Or they'd be like, hey, what do you stand? Boom. And it's the consistency, even when we're in different parts of the world, if you would. It seems like mentally, but it's all dog related. It's all business related.
Well, that's why I'm so excited for you to go meet Steve.
Yeah.
Steve DeSavio over there at Pack Leaders, because he's got that mindset of us. And we talk about NFTs. We talk about building businesses. It's, creating product. The energy level is going to be I can't wait to shoot the podcast, because I'm thinking it's going to be fucking bananas.
Yeah, and this is the thing I love about, even Stan too. Stan's a patient guy. He knew that we needed to start and would get there. And I'm always with the same shit, like, guys, we'll get to 1,000 reps. But we got to start with one, right? So even here, knowing like, hey, the first video might not be perfect, but we'll get there. We're going to figure out what we need to communicate effectively so that everyone basically has something in there that says, oh, that's for me.
Well, you know what, too? It's like, it's all about starting.
People, sometimes our topics get a little bit longer. We don't want to cut it just at 30. If we're really rolling, we keep this thing going. Therefore, at the end of our YouTube, you will see, hey, jump on the links listed below. Follow us on Spotify,
Sure.
Apple,
Sure.
Where else? Google.
Wherever else you guys listen us at.
Yeah, wherever we're listed at, and continue to follow and listen to the show, whatever we're talking about. Hopefully you enjoy the topics. Stay tuned. Appreciate you guys' support.
Yeah, and as always, man, leave us a comment, subscribe, share. In the comments or in the reviews, also, leave us some topics that you would like us to discuss. We don't hold back, so if you want us to talk about something, be sure to leave it there. So, as always,
Team X Dog Strong.